Hi there, I'm Ahsan and you're watching me on YouTube and Facebook Live. Today we are going to talk about mind control through distraction and deception. Distraction is a very good tool to manipulate and control the minds of people by getting their attention away from the reality, away from the the main issues that the world leaders are doing. And propaganda also works the same way. Propaganda is when you are shown only one side of the picture and the other side is completely discredited. And deception is also one of the category of distraction. We can say that, or you may agree or disagree with it. Deception is when you are by creating the false perception and distraction, propaganda and distraction. The purpose of all of them is the same, is to distract people away from the mainstream or the real issues and to control the minds of and manipulate the minds of people. And that's what we are going to discuss today. And my guest is Edward Konowicz, and he has joined us from Virginia, United States. Hey, Ed.
Hey, hi everybody.
Oh, I'm doing so.
Yeah, words are important, and
Mm-hmm,
propaganda is there to get you to use the wrong words.
mm-hmm.
So let me repeat that.
So propaganda.
Propaganda is there to get you to use the wrong words. For
Mm-hmm,
example,
mm-hmm,
the word mind control.
mm-hmm,
Usually it is not mind control, it's mind weakening. How are you
mm-hmm,
going to weaken people's minds so they're more easily manipulated?
mm-hmm,
So, though it is control, I'm not disputing it. The
mm-hmm,
real purpose of propaganda is to weaken the opposition, not to control it.
mm-hmm.
Now,
It's to weaken the opposition, not to control it.
yeah, you
Huh.
don't you
So,
don't
so
have to control. To win
mhm.
something, you have to make your opponent weaker.
So they won't you want them not to make the right decisions.
Well, you don't care as long as they're divided.
Mm-hmm,
And that's a quote I used on my Facebook page.
mm-hmm,
And the Russians were cited for the use of propaganda, and it said
mm-hmm,
they didn't mind being caught red-handed lying because they were interested in creating two camps or
mm-hmm,
dividing people so they fight each other. So propaganda purposely is weak misinformation in order to divide people into two groups so they fight each other.
mm-hmm.
So the idea of propaganda is not to control you, but to
It's
distract
true.
you and to weaken you by creating opposition.
Mm. So deception and distraction. How do you differentiate it?
Well, deception is creating the illusion of
Mm-hmm,
facts or
mm-hmm,
something being normal when it isn't, like wearing
mm-hmm,
the mask for
mm-hmm,
years.
mm-hmm,
People now are being conditioned to see wearing a mask as if it's normal. Go
mm-hmm,
around wearing a mask all the time.
mm-hmm.
And
So
the what it's
masking
done,
is also a distraction. Could be a distraction.
yeah, it is a distraction. So you're
Mm-hmm,
not debating the vaccine, you're
mm-hmm,
not debating medical malpractices, you're debating the mask.
mm-hmm.
So a
You.
lot of propaganda is simply distraction, like
Mm-hmm,
climate change. The issue
mm-hmm,
isn't climate change. The issue is toxic pollution. The problem mankind has faced for over 100 years is pollution, whether it's king coal with black lung, whether it's asbestos, whether it's insecticides such as DDT, whether it's lead in the plumbing. The issue mankind faces is toxic pollution, not global warming. So global
mm-hmm.
warming is a
Is the
distraction.
least
Now, I'm
is
not
our
saying
least
there,
problem.
Yeah, I'm not saying there isn't global warming. I'm
Mhm.
saying global warming is not as major of an issue as the toxins that are producing a cancer and immunity system epidemic.
Just like the
Which,
arms industry and the accidents and weapons industry, the illegal trade of arms and weapons is also the main issue. But people are not talking about it. Those who talk about peace, they also the main producers of weapons, and they are giving poor country to fight each other, and they're killing each other. And then they come in aid. They give them the logo and the sign of peace, and yes, we are the we are prevailing the peace, and they claim peace, but in reality they are the one who are causing all the conflicts.
yes, and distraction is a major way. So
Yes.
the whole issue,
Mhm.
I got to drink some water. That's why I was a
Yeah.
minute late. I had to get some water.
Yes, the topic we are discussing, we need to drink some water.
The, the major issue
Mhm,
is not wearing a mask. The major
mhm,
issues are war,
mhm,
homelessness,
mhm,
the right to refuse any medicine, not just vaccines. No
mhm.
one should have a medical treatment imposed upon them without informed consent, which
What
is a
about the
person should
privacy
be
issues? Privacy issues of
the
different social media
privacy
platforms.
issues. Yes.
Yes.
So we no longer have a debate over all the issues. The
Mhm.
propaganda concentrates on one issue, and by
It's true.
concentrating on that one issue, it
It's
ignores all
true.
the other issues.
Yes.
And the very basis of this, and you can see this on television, is to create a false debate. Have
Mhm,
people debate a secondary or tertiary topic that is not as relevant.
mhm,
And while people are doing that, we see
mhm,
this with nuclear energy to claim it's clean and green. I
mhm,
mean, how crazy. It's
mhm.
so crazy because no one wants nuclear wastes. What country of the world wants the business
The
of
nuclear
storing
waste.
nuclear waste? And if radiation was so safe, how come no one can go near the melted reactors in Chernobyl or Fukushima?
Mhm.
You can't go in the room. So
Yes.
you'll be dead in like 30 seconds. So if you're hundreds of feet away or thousands, you're slowly being damaged.
Mhm.
But most toxic effects are accumulative over years. So you want the public focused on immediate effects, since most of the toxic effects occur over years. It's like these
Mhm.
vaccines. They could not be properly tested because some of the side effects take a year or 2 or 3 years to appear.
Super. Yes.
So the idea of propaganda is keep people away from the major issues and focus on side issues like the mask. The
Mhm.
mask was to keep people focused on an issue that was irrelevant because a
Mhm.
mask, these crummy masks, they may reduce, some transmission, but they
But
increase so much other infections and problems and
mhm.
have
The
people
breathing
focused.
issues.
Yeah.
Breathing
Uh,
issues.
But it's purposely done because what happens? You get a pro and anti mask group that then debate, and you only have a certain amount of resources. So you can't handle 50 debates. So get
Mhm.
you focused on 10 false debates.
And I also find it ridiculous when people fight over politics and about the political leaders. They all are the same. What's the point of this side or that side? It's the same way. The result isn't going to change.
No, it isn't. The
Is
question in the United
is
States, and
distraction.
I've been saying this for years in the US, the
Mhm.
question is not what political party are you going to vote for?
Mhm.
The question is, why do we have political parties?
Yes.
because the people who are supposedly our representatives are supposed to vote for us, but they vote along party lines. They don't vote for the people they represent. They vote for their political party something like 95 to
Mhm.
98% of the time. The political party is the major represented force,
Representative.
not the
Mhm.
people.
Not the
So the
people.
question should be now, who are you going to vote for? Why are we controlled by political parties? Why do we
Mhm.
need political parties? We
Yes.
don't.
Yes. The people are less powerful than the party, or people don't have any value when you compare it with the party.
Right. So people don't raise the real question. In the United States, political parties are not part of the Constitution. In fact, when the president was elected, the runner up, which is the competitor, became vice
Mhm.
president.
Mhm.
So this concept of political party power was
Mhm.
used to undermine the government, and people can't ask that question. They're so
Mhm.
distracted by who to vote for, which political party.
Mhm.
And also by political parties, people don't research every race and candidate. They just go to the voting booth or to the ballot and check off one party. They don't even
Mhm.
know the difference between candidates because all they vote for is one party against another.
Mhm.
And that's partially it. To simplify, propaganda tries to simplify the question so that people choose one simple answer, one
Mhm.
political party, global warming rather than worry about toxins, um, wearing a
And we can.
mask.
Mhm. And we can also say that distraction or the mind control is to limit the creativity of people. So when they are restricted, when they are in the circle, then they can't think out of the box. It's also one of the way of saying it.
Yeah, it's definitely keeping focus
Mhm.
of people away from the major issues by
Yeah.
distraction and
Mhm.
false debate.
Mhm.
And false debate is what's going on television. It's like
Mhm.
when um, Medicare was being debated in the United States.
Mhm.
And most of the developed countries of the world have socialized medicine, meaning if a person can't afford medicine, the government will provide basic care so that no one goes bankrupt. In the
Mhm.
United States, socialized medicine was not even a topic. You couldn't debate that. You could only debate extending Medicare, a public option. The topic was not even allowed, though
Mhm.
it's a major accepted issue in most of the developed nations of the world. The topic wasn't allowed into the debates.
Mhm.
And
So,
this
in other words, we can say that there are many things, there are many factors, they are running around in our society. Uh, they are just prevailing, and they are distracting our attention. Media, you talk about vaccination, talk about uh, the political debates, and many other issues, and social, economic, and the purpose of all of these issues, they are the wrong debates, the wrong questions. People are asking the wrong questions. They are
right,
not
for
focused on the
example,
real
with
issues.
with vaccines, the
Yes.
propaganda, the term used is vaccine
Hey,
hesitancy.
Linda.
Yeah, hi, Linda. Um, it isn't a question of vaccine hesitancy. It's your
Mhm.
right to refuse to choose, your right to choose whether you have a medical procedure done or not. It has nothing to do with hesitancy. It has to
Yes,
do with your right to choose.
yes.
And
So,
if you're in all the channel news, all the
mhm,
different news have to use the term vaccine hesitancy. And if you encourage vaccine hesitancy, it is seen
mhm,
almost as a crime, particularly in Canada.
Mhm.
Now, Canada, which has socialized medicine, they're trying to use the law and the police to
Mhm.
enforce the medicine.
Mhm.
And we see that in England. And the level of control at this point
Mhm.
is frightening. It isn't so-called mind control, it's
Mhm.
media control and language control. They're very interested. It's just like, how ridiculous is this? Listen, if
Mhm.
you get COVID-19 after you have the vaccine, it's called a breakthrough. Well, a breakthrough generally is something wonderful. You got a breakthrough, you got a new concept, a new discovery. And what if someone gets COVID-19 after they have the vaccine? This was
Mhm.
not something exciting. It means the vaccine failed. So if
Mhm.
someone got COVID-19 after the vaccine, that's a failure. So now they're trying to
They're
use,
calling it breakthrough. They're calling
yeah,
a breakthrough.
a breakthrough as if it's something wonderful. so this is propaganda. The propaganda is so thick it divides the people. A lot of
Mhm.
people see the obvious propaganda,
Mhm. But they are divided. They are
and
not focused
others,
on the real issues.
yeah. So it's getting it. Those in power actually exaggerate the propaganda in order to get the division and conflict,
Mhm.
knowing some are just going to support the government line no matter how silly.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're getting feedback from someplace.
Okay. Is it from my side or?
I don't see how from my side. I got the earphones on, but okay. Well, it's gone now. So propaganda, and this is my point of view. Though there is mind control, it's more distraction to keep you focused on the wrong issues, and second of all, to divide the people into conflict. So it isn't to control your mind; it's to weaken it. And part of that is the drugs and the pollution. So we don't hear about toxic pollution, we hear about climate change. And the real problem is toxic pollution. Of course, it weakens your nervous system, like lead poisoning. Lead poisoning in Flint, Michigan weakens the nervous system of people who are drinking the lead poisoned water.
Mhm.
We don't hear from these celebrities about toxic pollution, coal
Or
ash, lead in
nuclear
the
waste?
water,
Yeah.
insecticides. What we hear is climate
Yes.
change.
Climate change. I think climate change is a very good business. It's a business. The green products, the clean energy, it's a very good business. So the industries, the powerful people and the rich people in the clean energy business, they hire those celebrities to discuss these issues. I think those celebrities are the sponsors of of the clean energy business. So
Right,
that's why people talk
but
about, yeah,
but
nuclear
see,
energy.
here's here's the deception. Because you mentioned
Mhm,
deception. Nuclear
mhm.
energy is not clean,
Yes, you're right.
and so they're looking at coal and gas and oil, and then
Mhm.
claiming nuclear energy is clean. It's not true. If it
Yes.
was true, you wouldn't
Mhm,
have Chernobyl and you wouldn't have Fukushima, where you
mhm,
have all this abandoned land and people
mhm,
can't go near the melted reactors because they're too toxic. And who wants radioactive waste? They're too toxic. So to claim nuclear energy is clean is the deception.
yes.
So it's to badmouth one thing, which is
Mhm,
fossil fuels, and then
mhm.
claim something is better, and it isn't.
Yes,
So
indeed.
this is the world is basically inundated with relentless propaganda from the televisions and newspapers and magazine. There's no stop to the propaganda. Even when I took a course in college for my degree on ethics, professional ethics, I had to, according to my teacher. I didn't do it, accept the non-government organization, the NGOs, as ethical. I said, no, these non-government organizations are funded by industry to push their product. It's just like Bill Gates' product is Microsoft operating system. So he pushed the lockdown, and by having the lockdown, more people were dependent upon Microsoft software in order to remotely connect to school and to work. So these so-called philanthropists, the NGOs are not ethical. They're creating the market for their product. It's just like the pharmaceutical companies. They give money and resources to those people who have organizations that question the use of drugs. And they do that to control them. They're not giving money out of charity or ethics. They're giving money in order to control. It's a form of legal bribery. But even in a college course, I was told I had to accept this as fact, that NGOs are ethical. I said, no, there's plenty of evidence that NGOs are not ethical.
And a comment here from Katarzyna, or if I'm apologies if I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah, she says politically glyphosate, which has been proven in court to cause cancer, is a major problem, and we're supposed to be focused on global warming while we're being poisoned, and there's a cancer epidemic.
Yes. Autism, allergies, attention disorder are so popular, and exactly right. I think these all of them, they are caused by the radioactive materials and the radiations. But we are not talking about the radiations. We are talking about the other issues: climate change, masking, vaccinations, about the political leaders and the parties. Not parties. They don't talk about party system. They talk about the politicians. If you like this one or that one.
Yeah,
Wrong
they won't
debate.
talk about the safety of the food.
Yeah, safety, food safety.
There's no concern at this point for safety of the food and the particular overuse of glyphosate. I know I spend about half an hour every other day picking weeds around my house. I'm not going to put down a herbicide to kill weeds. I'm not going to poison the environment.
Yeah, and everything is accepted under new normal umbrella. Absolutely right.
That's one of the purposes of propaganda, to create a false normal where people accept as normal, for example, that everyone has electric cars. So what happens when you have a blackout or there's a power failure? Does that mean people can no longer transport?
Yes. And
Parasites are another thing. And Sandra, that's a really important part of it. There's a growing number of parasites, particularly in the United States. You almost have to go to India to be treated because the medical profession in the U.S.
is very
refuses
costly.
to a large extent to not only not recognize parasitic infections and test for it, the antibiotics and drugs used in India, a lot of them you can't buy in the United States.
Yeah.
So we've got major issues, and doctors who discuss these because they have more expertise than someone like you and me, they're banned. They're discredited because they're going against the propaganda of the industry. And the whole thing of herbicides and insecticides are really important, because it's probably much better to have 10% of your food lost to insects and weeds than have 10% of your population get cancer. If there's a trade-off between losing some of your food and getting cancer, we should have that choice. And this isn't debated that much on TV. Though people are raising the issue. There is a, like our video here, there
Yes,
is counter
some
videos,
people, yeah, some people
but
are doing it, but the percentage is very small if you compare it with the mainstream media and its influence.
yeah, and the mainstream media was, um, I forget, I think it was Sandra that said it, Sandy or
Mhm, mhm,
Linda or one of
mhm,
the others, is
mhm.
that they create what's normal.
Yes,
They
yes,
create what
heterogeneous.
they think is normal.
Mhm. Yes,
Yes, Carter Zena um,
heterogeneous.
said that. And this,
Yes.
the real sorcery, this isn't propaganda,
Mhm,
sorcery, which is mind control. The sorcery of mind control is getting people to accept something odd and destructive as normal. Like
mhm.
war is accepted as normal. It's
So
accepted as normal now.
we can also say that people are given the wrong choices to accept either this or that one. Sometimes they have to accept the lesser evil. Lesser evil is not the right choice, but people are limited in their mindset, in their creativity, that they think that they have got two choices. In fact, we have got many choices. You can do anything as long as if you keep your mind open.
Yeah, I think the issue is people don't have much time, and
Mhm,
I'm reading through the comments.
mhm,
So they accept the mainstream propaganda. And we
mhm,
can see now the pharmaceutical industry, by all
mhm,
their commercial income to the major news channels, has
mhm,
destroyed journalism. Journalism can
mhm,
no longer report on side effects of drugs
mhm.
because the presidents of the corporations are concerned with their commercial advertising income from the drug companies.
Yeah, it's a very good comment from Katerina.
Yeah. The root issue frequently is
Mhm,
diet, exercise, relationships,
mhm.
stress, and people are supposed to see the cure as the drug.
Yes,
And
buy
and
antibiotics, anti-allergic, it's gonna be fine. But do not go for exercise. Do not work on your relationship. Do not get the peace of mind. Clear your mind. Have work. Drink more. So these are the. I think if you follow these instructions, you're gonna get better. But no drug. Get a pill. You're gonna be fine. So what are your final thoughts, Ed?
repeat that.
Your final thoughts.
My final
You,
thoughts. Oh yeah, that'd be
yeah.
appropriate.
Mhm,
Well, my final thoughts is be aware of false debate. I think
mhm,
that's the big issue. When we see a debate on TV or in the news, it's usually a
mhm,
distraction from the real debate. So when you hear a debate on TV or in the news, go research the subject and find out what the real issue is, because the debate you're being given is not the real debate.
yes. And I think we have discussed enough that mind control works through distraction. The people who are in power, they are distracting our minds through false debates, like climate change. Climate change is a problem, but to some extent, but they are worse problem like the nuclear waste, vaccination, pharmaceutical industries, and the fashion industry. We haven't touched it, and the media industry. There are many issues. They are the real life issues. They are jeopardizing. They are impacting us directly, but we are not allowed to talk about it, or we are too limited. We are too defocused and distracted to
Yeah,
to
let me give a
discuss them.
couple, and
Mhm.
let me give a couple quick examples.
Okay.
In chlorinated water, there's different
Mhm.
ways of chlorinating it to
Mhm.
avoid chloramines,
Mhm.
which is some forms of chlorine are more cancer causing than others. Second is
Mhm.
chromium 6. Chromium 6 was used to reduce rust in the chimneys and hot pipes of
Mhm.
power plants.
Mhm.
Chromium 6 is extremely cancer causing. So people don't even know these terms.
Mhm. Yes.
They're totally glossed over because the real issues are distracted by climate change. And as
Mhm.
you said, it may be an issue, global warming,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
CO2 may not cause global warming.
Mhm.
They're making an assumption. The debate should be in global warming, does CO2 cool or does it warm the earth? And you would need
Mhm.
experts from both sides to debate it, but we're not allowed to hear a real debate. We're told everyone agrees, there's a consensus, even though that's not true. That's a
Mhm.
deception. The most
Mhm.
common deception is saying, when you hear this,
Mhm.
it's usually untrue that there's a consensus. There isn't
Mhm.
a consensus. It isn't settled. Science isn't
Mhm.
settled, it's corrupt, as people say.
Yes. And it's a funny.
Amalgams and mercury is a big issue too.
Yes.
Mercury in
Indeed.
neon light bulbs, which you don't
Mhm.
hear. That's
Yes.
mercury vapor in all those
Mhm.
neon light bulbs.
Yes. But we are not discussing those issues. And yes, distraction is anything that is core of subject taking us away from what is going on behind the scene. Absolutely right. And we have discussed it with mind control with so many examples. And if you have some other example, please let us in the comment box below. And we'll come up with some other subject next week. Thank you and have a good day, good night, wherever you are.
Okay, bye everybody.